What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. Back for episode 2 of Survivor Season 40 Several after a very interesting episode 1. An episode that was kind of crazy, in which Andy from the Yellow Tribe kind of had an outburst and kind of blew up his game, in a sense, at the end of the immunity challenge, and then ended up staying at the tribal council, didn't go home. So, very interesting. Obviously, John Lovett ended up going home episode 1. Sorry for the spoiler alert if you haven't seen episode 1, but we're going to dive into episode 2, everything that happened in the episode. But before we do that, if you could, just hit that like and subscribe button down there for more Survivor content as we move towards the season. A bunch of other stuff on the channel as well. There'll be a Golden Bachelorette preview coming up right after this video as well. Sports stuff as well, Michigan State, everything. Anything that you can imagine is probably on the channel, so make sure to hit that subscribe button down there to stay up to date on more content from the channel. So we jump in at the Red Tribe. Morale is high, according to Rome. He told Teeny about the box with the idol in it that he had hid last night. Teeny feels that she has to work with him now, but she tells Kashan as well about the idol. They go to see where the box is, and she shows him the box. They're reading the note that's in the box, and Rome actually walks up. So kind of caught with your hand in the cookie jar there. But she does a decent job of trying to talk out of it about wanting to work as a group with them. But he doesn't know if he can trust them after this. But he doesn't know if he can trust her after this. He finally actually reads the directions from the box. Apparently he didn't read it. Obviously it was the nighttime, so he probably couldn't read. But reads it and realizes that he's stuck with the idol for just one tribal council if he doesn't want to do all these other tasks. And it turns out he doesn't, so he just sticks with the idol, good for one tribal council. Jump over to the Blue Tribe. They find a crab that's trying to run away. They're able to catch it, though. TK wants to bring a strong 3 to the merge. Wants to do it with Kyle as his number 1, and talks with Tiana about possibly working together as a 3. She's worried about a bromance, but he's like, no, because of everything that Gabe's done to this point, looking for the idol, pretty much day 1 already and maybe ruffling some feathers, so he wants to stick with this group. But she's down with the 3, as she says. Over at the Yellow Tribe, Andy thinks that there's amazing opportunity for him for a recovery after everything that happened in episode 1. They cheer for him when he's cutting the coconut open. Anika says it's giving toxic, clingy boyfriend vibes. The girls are searching for an idol. Sam tells Andy when he asks that he doesn't think that he should go looking for the Beware Advantage idol. Sam wants to keep him as someone who will come to him if, he, feels like he might start spiraling or anything. And when Sam goes off to the bathroom, Andy bolts to look for the idol after he said, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. Andy actually does find the Beware Advantage, but leaves it to brainstorm if he should take it or not. And, that's actually kind of smart. You just obviously then hope that someone else doesn't find it before then, but we'll come back to that later. At the Red Tribe, Rome's struggling to make a fire. Kashan goes and does it right away, and everyone seems to think Rome is doing a little too much. Anika and Sam back at Yellow go looking for the yellow idol because they know that Andy can't find it will mess up their plans. They find it, they open it, they head to the path to dig up the box. They start to untie the rope for the next part to get the key to open the box, and they realize they've been gone too long over at the well, so they end up going back. Sam tells Sierra, and Anika tells Rachel about finding the box for the idol. Sam wants it to not seem like he's hiding something from Rachel and ends up telling her, even though she already found out from Anika, but she plays it off that she didn't know either at the time. Sam and Rachel go back to the knots to work on that and get the key. Andy goes back to get the advantage and realizes it's now gone. So it was good thinking about not sure if you want to jump and take the Beware Advantage, which I don't think we've seen anyone not take the Beware Advantage since they've started doing it in Survivor. And so I guess we see what happens when you don't, how important it is to make that decision if you are or not. Maybe it wouldn't have been good for Andy's game, or maybe it would have, but I guess we'll never know. So Sam gets the key with Rachel, and actually Andy tells Sam about finding the advantage, and he tells him one of the girls found it because he went back to find it and it wasn't there. Sam does a good job of playing this off and acts it off pretty well that he doesn't know that he has the key in his sock right now and that he's the one that actually found the advantage. Over at Blue, the three, TK, Tiana, and Kyle, they're spitballing if they lose, who's going to go home. They bring in Gabe on the conversation. Gabe, however, doesn't want this to be his four, wants to work with Caroline and Sue. Gabe talks with Caroline about working together, but she doesn't feel like they have a working relationship and doesn't get a good vibe here. Gabe's kind of surprised how skeptical she is of him, and then he shows her his idol. Caroline is like, oh, okay. Then Caroline and Sue talk about Gabe as an alliance member, and Caroline still wants to be cautious, but she's optimistic. Sue and Tiana are getting annoyed with TK for talking so loud to Kyle while they're on the beach laying there trying to get some sleep, getting a break from laying on the bamboo, and he's just there talking with Kyle the whole time. And Tiana says she can't get a solid read on TK, doesn't think she vibes with him as a person. Over at Yellow, Sam and Sierra go dig up the box to use the key to unlock it. He takes the idol, good for one tribal. I feel like this is a missed opportunity by them, though, because they had a group of four that all knew where the idol was or where it was going to be and could have potentially went and looked and done these other... Obviously, they don't know that it's another one good for three tribals and then one good to the final five. They obviously don't know that, but like hindsight, I guess obviously always is 2020, but they really had a four where you could use that to kind of group find this, and then it's like, hey, we have a solid four, and if we do this, if they would have went forward, they could have had an idol, known where an idol was up until the final five, and had that going into a tribe swap or a merge. Obviously, that could have got messy. You never know what would happen, but now you only have an idol good for one tribal. Sam tells Sierra that he wants to play it for Andy. He doesn't want it to be three girls to one guy, or is possibly skeptical about that. Sierra doesn't love it, but she'll go with Sam with what he thinks because she feels like they have a good alliance or working relationship now. Then it's challenge time. You have to race in the ocean, get a bag of rice, work it back, then get through a blind maze, get the bag through, and then three people maneuver a ball through a snake track. It's for immunity, and then reward fishing gear. Then you get to the end of the challenge. A lot of tension on the snake track. It's a very, very tough snake track. As I said, three people kind of, with strings or tension across trying to maneuver one ball. Obviously a lot of tension and wanting to get immunity here. Yellow finishes first, so they're not going to tribal, and then red finishes second, so blue is going to tribal council. Before they head back to camp, though, Jeff calls out Rachel. We saw her during the challenge kind of throw some rice in her pocket, and he calls her out and says, you gotta empty that. Appreciate the try, though. Uh, Jeff says that there was a lot of smiles over there, and Tiana says they're fake, Jeff. Then TK says, we have too many smiles over here, like losing, I don't hang with losers and all this stuff. And Tiana's like gives a weird face and is like, what are you talking about? And doesn't appreciate that. And everyone kind of thought that Tiana was with TK and Kyle, but everyone saw her rolling her eyes at everything that TK was saying and is now like, oh, is she maybe more open? Is this a possibility for her to go a different direction? Kyle and Tiana were talking about the challenge, and TK walks up, or after the challenge, and was like, were you talking about me? Or what happened after the challenge, and TK walks up and was like, you guys talking about me? Kyle tells him afterwards that she was upset that he didn't apologize right away. It's like, I don't feel like I need to apologize. And Kyle gets them together to explain that it wasn't what she did. He didn't see what she did or what anyone did. That Jeff had just said that they were smiling, and that's what set him off. Tiana was like, I cannot like you, but want to further my game and can side with you if it helps further my game. Base Tiana was like, I cannot like you, but work with you to help further my game. And I think that's a good approach to have here if that's the best path for her going forward, working with TK and Kyle. They're targeting Sue. They tell Gabe about the plan to do Sue, but obviously Gabe is wanting to work with Sue. So they're trying not to use Gabe's idol and get Tiana to make 4 to get TK out. They're talking about being willing to go to rocks. Never, and I mean never, go to rocks. I don't care how strong you are on a stance. You have to value your own life in the game. Do not go to rocks. Especially on Tribal Council number 2. No. Sue pitches TK to Tiana. Seems like she might be kind of open to it, but she's worried about burning the bridge with Kyle too. At Tribal, we have more talk of the bromance presumption from earlier on, but obviously that's not really a thing. Sue and TK go back and forth a little bit. Gabe has a good line in there. That social relationships and strategic relationships aren't the same, and that they basically can be different. I couldn't agree more. For Survivor, I think that is a good strategy to have. Gabe plays the idol, but not for her. But Gabe plays the idol, but not for Sue, for himself, even though no one's heard his name. I don't know. But I will say this afterwards. I kind of had this at the end of my notes here. Dwight Moore from Survivor 43 tweeted this, and I guess I didn't even think about this. Speaking about going to rocks, he tweeted, an idol being used to explicitly avoid being part of a rock draw is an intriguing play. Did not even think of that. So if they were tied, then obviously we've seen the rock draw later in the game, and we know that if an idol is played or if someone has individual immunity, then the two people who are tied, if they can't come to a consensus decision, then the two people who they're deciding between are immune, and anyone with, say, an individual immunity necklace or an idol that they played is safe. So if that was the play, that was a really interesting and smart play by Gabe there. So Jeff read the votes, and no rock draw here. TK actually does go home. Kyle is very confused, and I am interested to see how he responds, because I think he can go pretty far in this game. And he even said earlier, he said, I'm not worried about being in the jungle and all this stuff, when he brought Tiana and TK together to try to fix the 3-person alliance that they had. He's like, now I got to get my gears working of how, basically to do the social thing. So I'm interested socially to see how he responds from this, because I think he can go pretty far in this game. Get the preview for next week. Sam is mad on the Yellow Tribe. We get the preview for next week. Seems like Sam is mad on the Yellow Tribe there, and Rome feels like he's running the game. So that'll do it for this recap of Survivor 40 Several, Episode 2. Another good episode to start the season. Some interesting storylines kind of forming here. And another surprising vote out, in my opinion. So that's 2 surprising vote outs, in my opinion, to start the season. And another surprising vote out, in my opinion. That's two back-to-back kind of surprising vote outs to start the season. So interested to see what happens going forward. We'll be back next week to recap episode 3 of Survivor 47. But thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.